Okay, so you remember where we were reading together on Zoom? Right at the end, they all looked around and the dragons had gone. So, what on earth is going on? So Hiccup looked around at the crowd, pushing its way all towards the Great Hall, and noticed that there was not one domestic dragon to be seen anywhere. Normally, they were never far from their masters, heels and shoulders, yapping and snarling and sneering at each other. There was something faintly sinister, though, about their disappearance, but the fact they'd all gone away. Nobody else had noticed. There was a tremendous babble of excitement and such a crush of enormous Vikings that not everybody could get into the Great Hall. And there was a big jumble of barbarians shouting and shoving each other outside. Stoik called for silence. "I have called you here today," boomed Stoik, "because we have a problem on our hands. A rather large dragon is sitting on the long beach." Magadon voiced the general disapproval. "Oh, this is not good. The big drums are only used in times of ghastly, deadly peril. Some really dangerous events," said Morgadan in amazement. "You've summoned us here at a horribly early hour." Morgadan had not slept well on the stone floor of the Great Hall with only his helmet for a pillow. "Just because of a dragon? I do hope you're not losing your grip, Stoik," he sneered, hoping that he was. "This is no ordinary dragon," said Stoik. "This dragon is huge, enormous, gobsmackingly massive. I've never seen anything like it. This is more of a mountain than a dragon." Not having seen the dragon mountain, the Vikings remained unimpressed. They were used to bossing dragons around. They had no fear. "The dragon," said Stoik, "must of course be moved, but it's a very big dragon. What should we do, old Wrinkly? You're the thinker in this tribe." "Oh, you flatter me, Stoik," said old Wrinkly, who seemed rather amused by the whole thing. "It is a sea dragoness, Giganticus maximus, and a particularly big one, I'd say. Ooh, very cruel, very intelligent, ravenous appetite, just eat all the time. But my field is early Icelandic poetry, not large reptiles. Professor Yorbish, he's the Viking expert on the subject of dragons. Perhaps you should consult his book on this subject." "Of course," said Stoik. "How to Train Your Dragon, wasn't it? I do believe that Gobber burgled that very book from the Meathead Public Library." He gave a naughty look at Morgadon the Meathead. "This is an outrage," boomed Morgadon. "This book is Meathead property. I demand that you return it instantly, or I will declare war on the spot." "Oh, put a sock in it, Morgadon," said Stoik. "With soppy librarians like yours, what do you expect?" The hairy, scary librarian blushed a delicate pink and shook in his size 18 shoes. "Baggy Bum, hand me the book from the fireplace," yelled Stoik. Baggy Bum stretched out one of his great octopus arms and picked the book off the shelf. He lobbed it across the heads of the crowd, and Stoik caught it. To much cheering, morale was really high. Everyone was really happy at this time. Stoik bowed to the hordes and he handed the book to Gobber. "Gobber, Gobber, Gobber," yelled the crowd. This was Gobber's moment of triumph. A crisis demands a hero, and he knew that he was the man for the job. His chest swelled with self-importance. "Oh, it was nothing really," he bellowed modestly. "A bit of basic burglary, you know, keeps me in practice." "Shh!" hissed the crowd like sea snakes as Gobber cleared his throat. "How to Train Your Dragon," announced Gobber solemnly. He paused. "Yell at it!" There was another pause. "And?" said Stoik. "Yell at it, and?" "Well, that's it," said Gobber. "Yell at it!" "There's nothing in there about the sea dragoness Giganticus maximus in particular?" asked Stoik. Gobber looked through the book again. "No, just a bit about yelling at it, really." Said Stoik. "It's short, isn't it? I've never noticed it before, but it's really short." Short, but to the point, he added hastily. Like us Vikings, thank Thor for our experts. Now, said Stoik in his most chief-like manner, since it is such a large dragon? Vast, interrupted Old Wrinkly happily. Gigantic, stupendously enormous, 5 times as big as the big blue whale. Yeah, thank you, Old Wrinkly, said Stoik. Since it is indeed on the rather large side, we're going to need a rather large shout. I want everyone on the cliff tops yelling at the same time. What shall we yell? Asked Baggy Bum. Something short and to the point. Go away, said Stoik. The tribes of Meathead and Hooligan gathered at the top of the cliff of the long beach, and they looked down at the impossibly vast serpent stretched out on their sand, smacking its lips as it devoured the last little bits of the other dragon that had previously been there. It was so big that it seemed unlikely it could be alive, until you saw it move like an earthquake or a trick of the eyes. There are times when size is really important, thought Hiccup to himself, and this is one of them. Dragons are vain, cruel, and amoral creatures. They have no good behaviours. As I've said, this is all very well when they're a lot smaller than you are. But when a dragon's bad nature is multiplied into something the size of a mountain, how do you deal with that? Gobber the Belt stepped forward to lead the yelling because he was the most respected yeller among them. His chest swelled with pride. 1, 2, 3. 400 Vikings seemed as one. Go away! And added for good measure the Viking war cry. The Viking war cry was designed to chill the blood of Viking enemies at the start of a battle. It is horrifying, electrifying shriek that begins by mimicking, by copying the furious yell of a swooping predator, which then turns into the victim's scream of pure terror and ends with a horribly realistic imitation of the death gurgles as he chokes on his own blood. It's a scary noise at the best of times, but shouted all together by 400 barbarians at 8 o'clock in the morning, well, that was enough to make the mighty Thor himself drop his hammer and blub like a little baby. And let's find out if their yelling works. Join us again on Monday.